My fellow Idahoans, are we there yet? And where is there? Well, let's consider this simple question. Are we better off than our parents were? Or more importantly, will our children and grandchildren in their day be better off than we are now? My name is Paul Venable. I am a candidate for Lieutenant Governor and Chairman of the Constitution Party of Idaho. More importantly, I'm a husband, father, and grandfather, an American by birth and an Idahoan by choice. Not unlike the early pilgrims, settlers, and the ancestors of the founding fathers who sought freedom in the New World, our family moved across a continent to Idaho for greater promise of liberty and opportunity. Thank you for being my neighbors, for who you are, and for the hard work you do. In the dawning days of the Republic, the colonial grievances with the monarchy became catalysts for a new concept. The genius of America's founding fathers was a revolutionary idea, a vision, that on this land there might be a people with power, not unlike a nation of kings. There were, of course, a few things that they presupposed and in fact expected for this vision to be sustained. One, that the people would be free agents and not subjects existing only to build someone else's wealth, but to improve their own lives and be free to pass on their earned wealth to their own posterity, a condition dependent upon, two, that the people themselves might be self-governing, that the citizens would experience the blessings and consequences of their own actions and not have the state micromanaging their lives. And three, that a just government would protect the God-given rights of the weak from the powerful and politically connected. The challenge we face today is that the current generation is putting the economic stability of the next generation and beyond at risk. In Idaho, over 67,000 of us are currently unemployed, and that number is growing. Should we wonder then why tax revenues are in rapid decline, forcing legislators to make tough decisions about state spending and painful budget cuts? Maybe it's because taxpayers aren't working, and if taxpayers aren't working, they're not paying taxes. According to the Americans for Tax Reform Foundation, those who are employed in Idaho worked until August 18th of this year to pay for the cost of government. That means that over 63% of our incomes went to the total cost of government before we got to keep any for ourselves. Do you think we might be taxed enough already? How is this even possible? A primary reason is because federal spending, especially on entitlements, is accelerating unabated. In addition, when a Congress which ignores the supreme law of the land exempts its members from its own laws which are not even read before they are passed, and yet is complicit in their personal enrichment at the expense of the people, something is terribly wrong. How is it that the servant has become the master? It would seem that someone other than the people have taken ownership of the ship of state. Was this the founders' vision, and is this our vision for the future of America? We can meet this challenge, though, and here's how. By renewing the vision of the founding fathers, that of a people with power. I recommend that there are three keys we must turn for action. Key number one, with a federal bureaucracy spiraling financially and morally out of control, Idaho as a sovereign state must stand up for itself and its people. The state needs to position itself between the excesses of the federal government and the rights of its citizens. Simply put, Idaho needs to reestablish justice. Our elected state representatives are not only obligated, but empowered, and do not need to ask permission of the offending jurisdiction to stand up for us. Key number two, there must be a paradigm shift in public policy that moves from revenue generation for government growth to private sector wealth creation. Government has nothing except what it extracts from the people. The fundamental understanding that tax revenue comes from working taxpayers implies the corollary. The taxpayers without work are unable to generate taxes. Further government borrowing, taxes, or stimuli will not create economic prosperity for the people. It is then up to you and me to return common sense to our local, state, and federal taxing, regulation, and spending practices. Let's help Idahoans have some relief by putting not one more tax burden on our backs before we have some time to recover. Let's put Idaho citizens back to work, and I believe that natural resource industries will lead to this recovery. However, not without a reform in environmental regulation that is keeping us from using those rich resources in Idaho. The common sense solution is production, not deficit spending. When we grow it, mine it, cut it, create it, design it, build it, and manufacture it in Idaho, we receive the value of our hard work for the productive labors of others, for housing, energy, education, food, recreation, and yes, even taxes where needed. We need to unlock the shackles of heavy-handed environmental regulations that are limiting the manufacturing, mining, timber, energy, and agricultural industries in Idaho. Key number 3. We need to acknowledge and support the family as the greatest delivery method for social services ever invented. As we financially strengthen and empower Idaho families, the increasing costs of social services will diminish over time. Now I invite you to share in a renewed vision of freedom and prosperity, an Idaho in which the American dream is experienced again, an Idaho which can be a model for the other states and the Republic. As the early American pioneers labored to tame a wilderness and brave the elements to build new lives in a land of freedom, and then defended that freedom with their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor, we too must take on a virtual wilderness and hostile political elements. We again have in our day the catalyst for renewing the revolutionary idea as heirs of a precious legacy. Are we there yet? And where is there? Well, that depends on where we want to go. If we want to leave our children and grandchildren with a better tomorrow, then to all of us I extend invitation. Will you, with me, remember who we are and that we are a people with power? Our destiny depends on you and me to make the sacrifices and hard choices as did America's founding fathers to bring this vision to reality. Will you, with me, remember those elements upon which our liberty is based? Claim and pursue that freedom to be creators of our own wealth and destinies. Spark a spiritual revolution that can again, as a raging and refining fire, inspire us in our day and our children today and tomorrow to be better men and women, to be self-governing and respecting our neighbors' rights as we would our own. Retake ownership of our servant government so that it works for us to protect those certain unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, endowed upon us by our Creator. Will you, with me, be Americans again, undivided by factions and labels, rich versus poor, liberal versus conservative, business versus labor, or by differences of religion, race, or party affiliation? As Americans, though not all related by blood, we are uniquely united by blood. The blood of our countrymen through the generations who sacrificed and labored, that we may be here together for this day and time, to restore the vision and build the reality of liberty in America. My name is Paul Venable. I seek your support and vote to be Lieutenant Governor. More importantly, I want to labor with you, shoulder to shoulder, as my friends and neighbors, to draw the line in Idaho and together share in the rebirth of our nation of kings. Thank you.